Let's be honest, mixing music is hard. It's one of the hardest things humanity has ever invented. Why is that? Because there are basically no rules and you can basically do anything with all of these tracks that you've recorded. What should you do with them? So here are my 5 tips for better mixes. Number 1, the arrangement is half the mix. What do I mean by arrangement? I mean which instruments you put in which frequencies. You have, let's say, a rock song, and during the verse, while you're singing, you also have 5 distorted guitars in the back that want the space that the vocal has, right? That are in the same frequency. That will not lead to a good mix, because your vocal will be drained out by the guitars. So what do? You change the arrangement. For example, maybe you could leave out all of the 5 guitars and there's just, let's say, bass and drums with the vocals, and now, you can hear the vocals. There's enough space for the vocals. You can actually hear what's being sung. You can make out the words. You just cannot fix that in the mix. You have to fix it in the recording process, in the songwriting process. And here we have a big advantage if we mix our own songs, because we can just go in there and record a different arrangement, right? So if we stay in our example, we can just go in there and say, let's get rid of all these guitars and maybe replace it with a guitar that plays the chords in a different frequency spectrum. And it's just important to realize that while you're recording, you're basically also mixing. And that leads me to point number 2. The other half of the mix is how well you played and recorded all the individual instruments. Sometimes when you feel like your mix isn't where it should be, it's not the mix itself. It's what you recorded and how you recorded it. So let's say, for example, you're mixing this rock song we talked about, and there are drums on there, but you recorded them in a really shitty room with a lot of reverb. You can do whatever you want with the mix. You can mix yourself to death, but you won't turn this into a good mix because of the problems with the drums. Because they are everywhere. Like if your rock song has drums everywhere, you will have this bad room everywhere. Of course, there is software to de-room the thing, but that's not the same. It will still lead to problems. But it's not just the recording, it could also be how you played during what you recorded. Let's say you played some drums and they are out of sync with the guitar, right? You cannot fix that in the mix because everything else was played to the drums, and it will lead to a bad mix in the end if you're not rhythmically on point. The same is true for pitch, right? If you have a detuned guitar, you cannot fix that in the mix, but it will still affect how the mix sounds. So again, if we are mixing our own songs that we recorded ourselves, it's an easy thing. We just re-record the detuned guitar. It might be a bit more of a problem with the drums, but it's just important to realize that if you're stuck in a mix, it's not always the mix itself. So if you follow point 1 and 2, so your arrangement is good and you recorded everything quite well, you already have a pretty decent mix. And of course, sometimes you want the shitty drum sound, you want the detuned guitars. But I'm just talking about the cases where you don't want that, where that's not the style of sound you're going for, right? So just wanted to add that of course I sometimes love a detuned guitar or a shitty drum sound. It can be perfect. Point 3, staying objective is key to making a good mix. Our ears get used to a certain sound, to certain frequencies, and see that as the norm. I think everyone that has mixed a song knows that feeling where you're mixing and you think this is a really balanced mix, it sounds great. And then you listen to it on the next day and you're like, this is so muddy, it sounds like... So what happened there? Your ear thought that is what music sounds like, because you have been spending too much time in the same sound and you didn't have anything to stay objective. You got really, really subjective with your hearing. And that is especially important if you mix a song you have written yourself and recorded yourself. So you're probably so deep into the song, it's even harder to stay objective. So what can you do to stay objective while mixing? A, you should have a reference song. So that's a song that is in the sound that you want to create with your song, so that you can Go out of your song and listen to that song and then adjust your hearing. Maybe you want a muddy sound, then you need a muddy reference song. Maybe you want a modern pop sound, then you need a modern pop reference song. But it's just important to have that and then to switch back and forth to reset your hearing. And this is another main thing to do. You have to just reset your hearing from time to time. You can do that with the reference song, or you can do it with something else. You can listen to a podcast, take a short break, or do something like this. I recommend doing this. And another thing that I have found to be really good to stay objective is to take really long breaks, like really, really long breaks. If you have written, recorded, and mixed a song yourself, it can be really good to not listen to it for a week, for 3 weeks, for 2 months, for 3 years, however long you want to. The idea is you come back at it like a listener that listens to the song for the first time. That's why you get a really objective view on the song, because then you're like, what would that sound like if I wouldn't have made it and I would just hear it somewhere? Because at that point, you have forgotten the song. I have a really, really bad memory. And I feel like this is the point where this becomes a super strength for me, because I forget a song like after 1 day. And then I can listen back to it and objectively hear if I like it, if I like the choices and what it sounds like. And especially for the mix, this can be really, really good. I really love doing that when I have recorded a full album of myself and then just not listening to it for 4 weeks or something. That can be really, really cool. Let's go to point 4, and that is don't overmix your mixes. You will reach a point in your mix where you're doing too much, like adding more compressors, adding more EQs, adding distortion. And it can happen that from that point on, you actually make everything worse, and you make your mix worse and worse and worse because you just don't stop at the right point. So how do you know where the right point is? For me personally, I think a mix is finished when you're doing very detailed stuff that a normal listener wouldn't even notice. And it's just basically your perfectionism that drives you to go on doing that, or maybe even your fear to finishing the mix, because then you have to release the song. So that would be, for example, you're doing the 0.5 decibel changes, or you're doing the, just a little bit of this frequency in the vocal might change something. But I say, if a normal listener wouldn't care at all, like at all, they wouldn't feel it, they wouldn't hear it, you shouldn't do it in a mix, right? It's not important. I would rather stop there and not risk that the mix gets worse. I would always say the song is more important than the mix. What is a great song with a bad mix? It's still a great song. What is a bad song with a great mix? It's still a bad song. There are so many bedroom producers out there that mix their own songs with hundreds of millions of streams, and these are not really great mixes. But it's not that important, because the song is great and the song has feeling, so always focus on the song. So if you're during the mixing stage of your own song, you realize, well, actually, the song could be better, just make the song better, instead of just mixing. And also, it's just more important to get the mix done and put the song out in the world, right? Instead of making the perfect mix, because your mix will never be perfect. Okay, say it with me. My mix will never be perfect. We'll say it one more time. My mix will never be perfect. And it is more important to finish it and get the song out and make the next song. Number 5. Getting better at mixing is like getting better at an instrument. You have to actually practice it. And that's what I see a lot of people get wrong. They think they can just read about mixing, watch YouTube videos about mixing, and then they will be able to mix. That's like saying, I will read about playing the guitar, I will watch YouTube tutorials about playing the guitar, and then I can play the guitar. No, you cannot. You have to practice the guitar a lot. That's the same with mixing. All the knowledge does not replace mixing songs. Make your own projects, record your own songs, then mix them. Over the years, you will get better at mixing. You will learn what you like. You will learn what is a good mix. And there are just some things that you cannot put into words. It's a feeling. It's the same with the guitar. It's hard to put into words what I do on a guitar after playing 20 years of guitar, right? Like, how do I come up with a guitar solo? I think 90% of it is I have listened to music, I've played a lot of solos, and then I'll just do it. And that's the same with mixing. You just have to mix a lot, and then it will get easier, and your brain and your ears will work together to tell you in which direction you should go. You will just know what to do. All right, I hope these 5 tips were helpful to you. Now stop watching this video and mix a song, because as I just said, you have to do it to get better. And your songs, they want to be out there in the world. I want to hear your music. The world wants to hear what you have to say. So mix your songs and put them out there in the world. Do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.